Already towering over most at 6 feet 5 inches, Kennedy asked those seated beside her to move aside so she could carefully choreograph herself on the makeshift stage. The top of her head brushed against the roof of the mead tent, threatening to throw her balance. With a bit of focus, she managed to steady herself, and a mocking look of self-importance began her speech. As the daughter of two well-heeled lesbians, she had been raised with the best of everything: education, fashion, travel. But it was obvious this little duckling would not grow into a swan, not without some help. Without the proper equipment, a girl was left vulnerable to eating disorders, mental health issues, and other plagues that wiped many a sister out since the new dawn. Having the right looks was just like having the right amour. Kennedy paused to let a sense of mystery build in the crowd. Without the height, the tits, the ass, the hair, and socialite nose, a poor girl would be overwhelmed with the social shame, bitchiness, and hate directed at her by her peers. A corporate career would be too savage for her delicate frame, and she would be left to feminine duties like nursing, childcare, or teaching. Real women were in the military. Real bitches lead corporations. The beautiful intellectuals were doctors. The brainy but ugly girls, i.e., poor, were stuck in science and engineering. Those born into wealth and power were directed to the law and politics. Kennedy marked off each career with a sharply pointed finger into the crowd. Spattered throughout all the classes are the civil libertarians. These ladies come in all shapes and sizes, pre- and post-cosmetic surgery, educated and underachieving alike. They talk about social injustices and civil uprising. Their freedom of speech is guaranteed under the matriarchal constitution. They gather in academic circles and at the soup kitchens. They feed the male underclass on most evenings in busy urban neighborhoods. They want true equality for all, but they were not well liked. Kennedy added snidely, traitors to the feminist cause, two-faced bitches who want to turn back time, ungrateful upstarts who have forgotten what it was like when men ruled the world. There were whistles and cheers from the crowd. It was not clear if they were encouraging the civil libertarians or just feeling entertained by Kennedy's overall performance. Either way, the audience was engaged with her show. Keeping all this in mind, the well-heeled lesbians presented their offspring to the finest physicians their money could buy. From the age of 12 onwards, their duckling was sculpted, injected, bandaged up, and stretched out. Her duckbill was refined so that it fit the proper socialite requirements. Her cheekbones enhanced. They became sharp enough to cut hard cheese. Kennedy showed off each part of her that had been worked on. Her chin was made softer, her eyes wider, her boobs bigger. The swerve of her hip was made just right. The bounce of her butt was juicy and tight. Her legs went on forever. Kennedy sighed, and then whispered. Her waist was cinched in, and her lips were plumped up. By the time the duckling turned 16 and her social debut on hand, the body armor had been built and perfected. It was no beautiful swan that premiered that night. No, not at all. She let the room fall silent. Instead, my friends, the belle of the ball was a glamazon woman standing strong and tall. Kennedy roared and stamped her foot for effect. Her audience matched her enthusiasm with applause, howls, and roars of their own. With my disguise now intact, as a matter of fact, I can rub bronzed shoulders with the rest of them. Dodgy CEOs and all manner of pros are always catching my attention. Uncovering layers of corruption and terror, I am far from a government soothsayer. She popped out her hip and arched her long right arm. Critically acclaimed, remember my name, Kennedy Saxon, my mother's invention. She bowed dramatically, as though giving up her spirit to the praises of the crowd, then laughed wildly.